Speaking of April 2021, I suppose we're in Aries, so things can be fun. We can start to do things from right in here, and we can stop that previous tide if we want. If we are lucky enough and we're clear. The thing that I'm feeling for many people is that life is not feeling that easy or simple because we are not in the heart and we're not in our body enough, which can give birth to all sorts of strange stuff. So the reason why sometimes people don't care or that they don't really understand how to be here is because they don't really understand what is love. And love is the life that we're living, which is sometimes easy enough unless we are feeling. And that is what Pisces was for, in a way. Pisces was a space to let go and say, yeah, just play. Everybody that really wanted to do anything has already done it by January last year. And if you have any unwelcome business this time around, and if you don't really like what you're doing, just say, yeah, it's okay. I have done what I've done in a previous tide. And that is how come things can collide, is because you've not finished something or somebody. And sometimes what Aries does is it makes ailments for our spirit and our body if we don't really want to do the do that is new. And that is basically what I'm speaking about here for you. I'm trying to get a real good idea of how it feels to really be here and to understand who we are and in what time. We understand the meter not very well, and that tires my life. I'm just kind of wondering, do you really want to do what you're doing? That is something that I have to ask me as well. Are you ungluing? If you don't use the power of Aries with might and in the right way, some things can start to disorganize and sway. If you don't really feel who you are and why you're here, it can give birth to a very mediocre life or a sad career. So I'm kind of thinking about you guys and what it means here to understand who you are and have no fear. The main thing that Aries does is wipes away all that other stuff. And sometimes that is why we have conflicts during this time, because enough is enough. We can't really participate or go on anymore, trying to stand in front of that door through which we want to walk in a way. And if you are self-obstructing, that is also okay. The main thing is not to worry about numbers and money, because that is not a very nice game and it's not very funny. It is not very easy for us to understand what is going on and to be ahead of speculation, because we have a certain weird infatuation with time and numbers and what it all means for us people, when life could be just so beautiful and so very simple if you just believe in who you are without really having to be economic and without having to play a game like a gnome and keeping things stoic. So the thing is not to be too practical right now. Because that is going to debilitate some of your glow and some of your here and now. And the reason why we sometimes don't feel it, what we're doing, is because there's so many parts of us that are constantly ungluing the actual moment in which we are living. So if you are really stuck in your life, it is a great time for forgiving. It is a very, very good time to just say no, and also to be wise enough to let go. If you don't really have the skills or the wheels or the tools for a certain situation, maybe it's time to go back and find a new way of life or to resume a higher education. If you are not very well in what you're doing now and you're not very honest, it is important to understand that in Aries everything is transparent, and we can become ghost to other people and to that person that we are. Ghost-like states is something that I'm here for you for. because that is sometimes the way that we go through life. And I would like you to understand that you're not just a cog in the machine, you're not just a husband or wife, you're not just a person who is constantly confining in what you think is right. You are not actually anybody unless you are fully right for yourself. And that is talk of ego. And I think that for some people that is a difficult subject. And here we go. Do you really want to live your life? And that is despite the program or the system that you're in. There is no strife. Nobody's really that opposing to you, really. Even the governments are not really trying to be dubious with you. They're also healing. We're all just going for our own stuff. And yeah, sometimes with Aries, enough is enough, but do you really want to be yourself? And that is the question that I ask myself always, because sometimes we put ourselves on a higher shelf and we forget the way that we were once, and we don't want to see ourselves again, and we disturb our minds with lots of stuffs, and we don't really want to be the same as that we were once. And I think that we have to be honest and not so adolescent here, because some people are truly not in love with their own here and now, and that has to be said as bad. And I have to also understand that within me, it is increasingly getting harder and harder to be unless we're truly open, honest, and sincere. And that is what Aries is teaching us here. So the main thing about this time is fullness and devotional care for who you are and what you're doing here. And I think that is going to, within itself, solve a lot of lives, and is going to put a stop to many different bypassing life cycles and lies. And we also have to really realize that we can't any longer keep on being strong and worthy when lives we live are not really that full or godly. And why that is an interesting factor here is because, in all honesty, we just have to be here. This is the only time we're going to really get that chance within a year to really, really understand what being here creatively is. So there. Anybody that really, really wants to be who they are is going to start to evolve very fast and go very far. And also, there is a big, big question here, but what about my job? What about career? What about my money situation? What about my previous designs or education? What do I do with that which I was carrying for such a long, long time? And the question is back at you. Do you like that kind of pantomime? Do you like that form of previous states of ego? Do you really care for yourself within that special sentence that you're creating? And here we go. Do you like who you are here and now? And can you please let go of anything you've carried for the while? But how? Some people really struggle, and here Aries should really give a push. You know, you can just decorate your life however it is you want right now, and put things in a bin in one smooth swoosh. And you can do a lot of things you've never done before. But it has to be real and honest, or else you're still obstructing your own door. Who you were always counts. Besides that education, besides that marriage or the kids or any previous formation, who you've always just kind of been inside. That's the point of it all right now, especially as we do have the worlds collide, we do have a different frontier, and we just had this great illumination in the sky, and everything should have been easy now to understand. And those things that have had to go should have gone by now. Bye bye. And now we kind of want to see what makes us real. And that is where we stand. And how can we truly heal unless we understand who's really there beneath the surface? Between the lines, we're always just the same. And purpose, career choices, marriages, and all that stuff is just the junk we live through, in a way. And we don't want to know that. Because in it we see love. Okay? We don't want to know who we are on the inside. Okay? We want the exoskeleton of what we've come to be on the outside. Where we have come out. And what we have created, really. And I think that is not well. And that game we play is silly. Inside, the person is a perfect soul. And everything we've ever been, is gone. The previous decision-making process must be done. We have to understand what makes us feel something and have some fun. And that is something that I'm seeing for a lot of people. Okay, there is a need for life to be more public, efficient, and simple. The Saturn, Jupiter creation and the sky is something that we really, really want to know now. How to pass our time, what to do in front of other people, how to make things look more beautiful and simple, how to make our lives look, feel, and seem much more efficient. But we have to also understand that there is higher vision and there are greater ways of being in the world than trying to conform and make peace with the old. We have to be okay because we have done things we didn't want to do. I've done a lot of things as well, But how are you? How do you feel about yourself despite the way you were once feeling, or how you've once made sense to you? How are you feeling? How do you really want to go about your life? Do you really enjoy where you are? Or do you feel pain, sadness, illness, darkness, strife? It has to be exact. This is an Aries moment, truly. And in tune, it has to be within yourself and fully bloom out to the world, beyond, above. We all just want to see you real, and that's how come we love. That's what makes another person turn an interest in yourself. That's what makes love happen also. That is not something we like to think about, the self, we want it to be small, that which we're living through sometimes, because we're afraid of bigger things, because we know there are some things we have to compromise in order to get bigger in a way. We have to start somewhere. And here in Aries time, why not consider completely different frontier? Why not do something that is obvious and clear? Why not do something that is very now and here? Why not try a thing you've never done before? Why not just shut that previous stuff away and find an open door, and open arms, and open faces, and open eyes, and open homes and places and spaces for your art or for your conversation. Sometimes the simplest things I found, and later they create much higher states of creation, of imagination, you don't really have to do things by half. You can just say enough is enough. I want to be here. I want to feel love. So what we have here at the end of the month is we're going into Taurus. And we can start to get a little bit more dubious and a little bit more caring about our stuff. The formation is very enormous. We have to decide many things and sign many papers and think it over and tune in and be a little bit more patient. When we are in Aries, we don't really have that feeling. Something about us has to be very bright, bold, and abbreviated because we have to find that color for greater healing. And until Taurus comes around, we have a beautiful merry-go-round of different types of things and information. We need to really start to feel something and find that great equation. You have to live within the state of love and imagination, and compassion and turning things over will come in the end. The worst thing that can happen is that we might not be brave enough, and we might start to depend. So in Aries, the best thing here is to just feel proud of who you are despite your career, despite the previous choices you've made in the past. We have to see you for who you are here at last. And then Taurus comes as a kind of compassionate glow, It makes us feel hollow where we are wrong, and we have to let go. Again, a dark feminine sign at the end of this month, which gives us that time and that space to feel love or lust, to be dubious about who we are, where we come to be, to understand where we've come out because we were free or because we were not. We can really think about that stuff a lot by the end of April month. But before, we have to really believe in ourselves enough to kick up a storm in this beautiful dance that is life. If you don't have the energy here, you can be an ego for the rest of your life. I just want safety. I just want a space I can be, Nothing really is working for me. Nothing really is love anyway. Everything I do will one day decay. All of that stuff has to go in the bin. And I know what you're saying, but look, I have been this same way all my life. I can't just be here. I've got to think about stuff. That is my now and my here. That is my state of love. And that is okay too. But I'm wondering, who are you? In the previous year, I've talked a lot about ego, and how we find ourselves and where we go, how we heal through one another, what we understand about each other. That was Rat all along, trying to understand who you were in the end, and to let go was the mission. At the moment, it is hard to have that vision. We don't have time for ego anymore. We don't have time for false realities. Let go. If you really, really want to be here, start to feel your own skin and your heart, and feel freer. We don't really have to start from the start. Not everybody has to do things the difficult way. It's just important to be open and honest and quite okay about things being muffled already. Muffling, porridge, unclear phenomenon will not help you be steady. It will not help you get good at things anytime soon. It'll not send you all the way to the moon. It'll not release you from previous trauma, which is something we do sometimes. It's all a little bit formal. how we use our egos in our lives, and we're just trying to back ourselves up and out of things we don't want to see. And that's what makes one isolated during Aries, you see. So an isolation chamber is not something that is right for you or for me. It is not something that's going to be good and entire, though I can see that isolation does send some people off into a brand new world. It's like a creative fire. Some people really do want to be completely alone, because that is how far the ego has gone. And it is hard to be absolutely open and honest, because something about us feels deceptiveness. Bonus. Nothing has to be truly created or done. It's just about opening yourself up for more fun. And some people can really get things going here by just being now and here, and not really having to be anyone, just being open to what life is, and relating a little, and getting things done that you think that you want to do later. There's no way of explaining it better. If you don't want to do this later, why do you believe it'll be better? Are you really doing things for anyone? Are you trying to save somebody here? Do you have any space for your soul in your current career? Do you have any time for your own ideas or your own situation? Or are you kind of using your own infantility to believe that things will get better if you put in those hours or experience those traumas, or remain just the one? Do you want to be sad? Do you like being whole but within a certain parameter? Are you only at home with certain situations and certain criteria and certain meter? Are you not happy enough to just be here regardless of where it might be? And that's a question for ego, you see. And we have to understand that all this is here is just a question of your now and here. Thank you very much. I hope that you've enjoyed my little chat about April month. I'm going to do 12 signs that are going to be on Patreon. If you like my material, have a look, and I hope it's interesting for you.